Hello, this is Dr. Masood from Northridge Chiropractic, and today topic NLP, Neuro-linguistic programming. Watching the ships roll in, then I watch them roll away. And we have a guest today, happened to be my wife, and we want to ask her about NLP and what got her into NLP, and how can she help you or anybody you may know. I left my home in Georgia. All right. So this is Ruth, and can you please tell a little about yourself and how you decided to start NLP and what is NLP, and please let us know.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Ruht Shamaeizadeh, and I am very fortunate to be married to Dr. Masood, like he mentioned, and yes, I am an NLP practitioner. NLP stands for Neuro-linguistic programming, and the reason why I decided to study and become certified in neuro-linguistic programming was because I have always been very curious about the workings of the brain and how can we manipulate our brain so that we get the results that we want. And NLP is that bridge between the desire to be or do something and actually getting it done or becoming that which we want to become. And I felt like this was something that could help me personally in my life, and this is something that I can use to help others reach their goals and realize their dreams.
Let me ask you, what was the first time? How did you expose to NLP? How did you find out about NLP?
I actually first was exposed to NLP by a good friend of mine who also happened to be my boss about 8 years ago, and he and his wife had been working extensively with NLP, and they introduced me to the woman who became my teacher and my mentor. Her name's Marilyn Sargent, and she runs Success Design International, and so I studied under her and her wonderful husband, and I was certified through Success Design International as an NLP practitioner.
Now, I heard your first patient actually was your mother, had a phobia of dog. Can you tell me about that?
Yes, actually, once I started trying to find ways of using NLP to help people in my immediate family, and my mother has had a fear of dogs since she was very little because she got bitten, I think, when she was 6 or 7 years old, and it was to the point where her fear of dogs really had impaired her life. And she tells me a story. One time when we were living in Mexico, she was walking towards my grandmother's house, and there was a dog on the street, just sitting in the middle of the street. And because that dog was there, she decided to turn around and go back home. She never made it to my grandmother's house that day because she was so afraid to walk down the street and go past that dog. And so as I studied a little bit more about NLP, I thought, well, this might be a really great thing to test out with my mom and see if it works. Because I learned that it takes the same amount of time to create a phobia. It takes the same amount of time to reverse that phobia. So, we went through some NLP work, and at the end of about a 1-hour session, I asked my mom, okay, well, what are you feeling? What are you thinking? And she says, well, I don't feel any different, but I guess we'll just have to test it out the next time we're with the dog. So about 2 weeks after that, I was visiting a friend. Her and I went to go visit a friend, and she has 3 dogs. And I saw my mom with my own eyes feed one of her dogs right from her hand. And to me, that was miraculous because my mom felt no anxiety walking into my friend's home knowing that there were dogs there. In the past, she probably wouldn't even agree to come with me if she knew there were dogs in the house. And for her to actually extend her hand out to a dog and feed him, that was really amazing. And she had lived with this phobia for over 53 years. And she was completely amazed. And I was amazed too that this was possible. And so yeah, I love sharing that story because it's a great story of overcoming.
To help somebody that was investing in stock and without telling the giving up the name, of course, for privacy, can you tell us about how you helped that person?
Yes, after I finished my certification course with Success Design International, this gentleman came to me and he says, I have a real big problem because what I do for a living now is I day trade. But I have a fear of hitting that button when it's time to buy or when it's time to sell. I always second guess myself. And so we worked a couple of different times, and he was able to actually acknowledge where his fear was coming from and what was the obstacle that was holding him back from just hitting a button. It's a very simple action, right? It's just like hitting the enter button on your computer and you don't think twice about it. But he was being held back by beliefs that just were no longer serving him. And so he decided, to come and work with me. And after a few sessions, he was able to move forward and do what he knew he needed to do in order to make money in his trading.
So, are you saying the NLP is like going to a psychologist? What's it different for somebody who go to psychoanalyst versus going to an NLP practitioner?
Mm-hmm. Well, I've personally never been to a psychoanalytic session, and I've never seen a psychiatrist. But what I can say that I do know for a fact about NLP uses language to direct the brain so that you can acquire the desired results in any area of your life. I love using this example of how we direct the brain and the consciousness of our children. Let your kids play outside, and the first warning that parents give to children is don't go out on the street or stay off the street. And I laugh now when I tell my children don't do something, because in this example, if the children go outside and they weren't even thinking about going out in the street, after the parents' directive, they are now very conscious and aware that there's a street. So whatever words we use, that's where the brain is directed. It's like me saying to you, please do not think of a blue tree. Well, the first thing that your brain is going to do is pick up on that cue, blue tree, and it's going to come up with an image. The same thing with children, right? You tell them don't go out on the street. The first thing they're going to do is pick up on that cue and think about the street. So NLP uses language to direct the brain so you get the results that you want. So, in the case of communicating with children, I would say, hey son, I would like for you to stay on the grass. And I will point out the parameters of where I want him to stay. And that is much more effective than saying, son, don't go out on the street, because now I've just given him a directive of exactly the opposite of what I want him to do. So this is just a very small example, but it's a very, very powerful example of how when we learn NLP, we learn the intricacies of how language works to work with the brain to achieve a desired result.
Like I heard some of these motivational speakers, they always say, focus in your life what you want to achieve, not what you don't want to achieve, or whatever you want to stay away. Don't focus on that, because the moment you don't want to do something, exactly you go to that direction. Is that the same thing?
Yes, pretty much. When you are trying to avoid something, but you do not replace it with exactly what you want, it's like you're leaving your brain with a void. So, I don't want to eat junk food anymore, but you do not replace it with what you do want to do and how you're going to get there, then your brain will automatically default back to what you don't want to do. And you'll just end up doing what you don't want to do.
If you have to give one tip today for our audience, for example, improving their performance at work, how would you advise the people?
If somebody wanted to improve their performance at their job, I would say they start by asking some questions. The first question would be, what is my desired result? And once they have an answer to that, the second question would be, why do I want to achieve that result in particular? And the reason why it's important to ask the first question is because if you do not have a clear picture of what you want to achieve, it's very tough to get there, and your brain doesn't have a clear direction. You need to give your brain a very clear path of what you want it to achieve. The reason why it's important to ask the second question is because if the reasons why you want to achieve this violate some part of your conscience, then you probably end up sabotaging yourself subconsciously anyway, and you will not achieve your goals. In the NLP world, we call that being congruent. That means that you really want what you say you want, and the reasons for achieving those goals are the right reasons for doing it. And so in your mind, in your consciousness, and in your subconsciousness, all systems are go. And then you can start creating a plan on how you're going to achieve that result.
Thank you for coming and giving this interview today. I know you had a very busy schedule. And for our audience, thank you for listening to us. And please email us at askdrmasood@yahoo.com. And please visit us at our website. I'm going to put this on our video in YouTube. And I highly recommend to share this video with your family and friend. They probably be very thankful to you, because this is new technology we are sharing with you. And for those of you who are listening and watching this YouTube video, just come for your free chiropractic exam. And just all you have to do, call us at this number, 818-831-0100. And have a great and healthy day.
Bye. Thanks for listening.
I'll be sitting in the evening come, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll.